Ever wondered how the Ebola virus spreads and why it's so deadly? Let's take a journey back in time to the early 20th century in Africa, where it all began. The Ebola virus, a highly contagious disease, is believed to have first made its transition from monkeys to humans. How, you may ask? Well, it's thought to have occurred when humans consumed the meat of an infected monkey. From this point, the virus found a new host in humans and has since caused several outbreaks across the continent. One of the most devastating was the outbreak that occurred between 2014 and 2016, which claimed the lives of over 11,000 people. The virus, transmitted through direct contact with the bodily fluids of an infected animal or person, found an all-too-easy path to spread amongst the human population. And that, my friends, is how Ebola first made its leap into the human population. But what makes Ebola so deadly? Ponder this. Ebola is an insidious enemy, its symptoms often mistaken for those of a common flu. It begins with a fever followed by chills, muscle aches, and fatigue. But it doesn't stop there. Nausea sets in, escalating to vomiting and diarrhea. The body is under attack and it's losing. Ebola then shows its true colors as the infected person starts bleeding, both internally and externally. The virus is now in full control, crippling the immune system and damaging multiple organs. The body's desperate attempts to fight back often result in inflammation and swelling, further exacerbating the situation. Within a matter of days, the disease can progress from initial infection to death. It's a rapid, ruthless progression that leaves little room for intervention. This swift and severe onslaught is what makes Ebola not just deadly, but terrifying. And that's why Ebola is such a feared disease. So, how can we combat this lethal virus? It's crucial to understand that currently, there is no known cure for Ebola. However, don't let this fact scare you. We have treatments and medications that can significantly reduce the severity of the illness and increase survival chances. These treatments focus on providing supportive care to patients, including maintaining hydration, managing fever and pain, and treating any secondary infections that may occur. Additionally, experimental treatments and vaccines are being studied and have shown promising results in preliminary trials. But as the old saying goes, prevention is better than cure. And in the case of Ebola, this couldn't be truer. The best way to prevent the spread of Ebola is to avoid direct contact with the bodily fluids of infected animals or people. How can we do this? Let's discuss some preventive measures. Firstly, it's advisable to avoid eating the meat of wild animals or animals that have not been butchered properly. The virus has been found in several animal species, including monkeys and bats. Consumption of meat from these animals, especially if not cooked properly, can lead to infection. Secondly, it's important to avoid contact with infected or suspected infected wild animals. This includes not only direct contact, but also handling objects like bedding or surfaces that have been contaminated with the fluids from an infected animal. Lastly, wearing protective clothing when handling suspected infected animals is essential. This includes gloves, masks, and other protective gear. And it's not just about wearing them, but also about disposing of them safely after use. Hand hygiene cannot be stressed enough. Regular washing of hands with soap and water is a simple yet effective way to prevent the spread of many infectious diseases, including Ebola. In conclusion, while we may not have a definitive cure for Ebola, we are not powerless in our fight against this lethal virus. Through adopting preventive measures and providing supportive care, we can reduce its impact on our world. These preventive measures are our best defense against Ebola. What can be done to control an Ebola outbreak? Controlling an Ebola outbreak requires swift and effective measures. First and foremost, it's crucial to isolate individuals who are infected or suspected of being infected. This helps prevent the virus from spreading to others. The next important step is contact tracing. This involves identifying and monitoring people who have been in contact with those infected. It's a critical process for understanding the extent of the outbreak and preventing further spread. Another key strategy is decontamination. This means thoroughly cleaning the places visited by infected or suspected infected individuals. It's a vital precautionary measure to eliminate traces of the virus and reduce the risk of transmission. Last but certainly not least, we need to educate the population about the risks and prevention methods. Knowledge is power, and in this case, it could be the difference between life and death. With these measures, we can control and eventually stop an Ebola outbreak. In summary, Ebola is a deadly virus that first spread to humans from monkeys in Africa. It transfers through direct contact with bodily fluids from infected animals or individuals. The disease is severe, often fatal, with symptoms ranging from fever and chills to uncontrolled bleeding. There's no known cure yet, but preventive measures like avoiding contact with infected animals, maintaining hygiene, and wearing protective clothing can help. Controlling an outbreak involves isolating infected individuals, thorough contact tracing, and community education. By understanding Ebola, we can better protect ourselves and prevent future outbreaks.